Hello everyone and welcome back to Anything Joe's, a collaborative journey through the world of G.I. Joe. My name is Greg Engel.
And I'm Jaron Decker.
And we'll be your host today. Today we're back on that comic book grind with Marvel's G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, number 8. This issue and the issue after this, I think, get a lot of flack because they aren't written by Larry. And I've thought about this a lot this week, and I think that the thing that it really suffers from is that after these two issues are under the belt, things start to move at a much more aggressive pace. We have new characters introduced in issue 10. We have more characters introduced in issue 11. Like the big expansion of the roster is just around the corner. So I think when people reflect on this run as a whole, these two issues kind of like are dragging you back from like when things really kick off. And because of that, I think they have taken a little bit of unfair heat. This issue maybe less than the next issue because this, as you'll soon learn, this issue is completely helmed by Herb Trimpe, who normally assists in either the script or the plot, but not both. The next issue is done by a completely new guy that had not worked on the series and only does one other issue at this point. So it has a bit of a disconnect. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's dive right in and take a look at the cover of issue number 8. So, Jaron, do you want to give me your kind of first impulse on this cover, other than the fact that it has a vamp on it?
I was gonna say, well, you have to start with the vamp. Obviously, I mean it's not front and center, but it is front. So that does give it bonus points.
The dimensions on that vamp are not good. Like I've never really noted. I didn't do a lot of homework on this because I think it's sometimes interesting to come into these issues blind. But I mean, obviously I've read this issue before, but I'd say it's been a decade. And this is the first time I've ever noticed that it looks like a Playmobil vehicle or worse. Scarlet is standing in the passenger seat. Sorry, I guess we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. Yeah. Scarlet is standing in the passenger seat, facing backwards, aiming directly vertical with the gun. Clutch is wearing a helmet that doesn't belong to him. Or it has like a Cyclops visor on it.
Yeah. Plus, isn't there a targeting system? Like, I didn't think that the vamp... I've never thought the vamp was something you had to, like, get on.
In the October Guard issue, we covered that he does have a remote that allows him to fire it, independently. But I guess in theory, it maybe works... It has like a manual mode also.
Yeah, I guess worst comes to worst, you just point it the way you want it to shoot. Make it go boom in that direction. Okay,
so sorry, that just was very jarring for me to suddenly be like, "Whoa, look at that!"
When I first saw it, I was like, "Why is Snake Eyes piloting this ATST?"
Oh yeah, okay. So let me scrolling back up to the top. You're right. Now, okay, so I don't want to hate on this issue, an issue that I just established gets a lot of hate. I think there's a lot that works for this issue. I think the colors are great, like the blue background with the dusk kind of setting color, real simple but effective. The action on this cover is really good from top to bottom, like the impactfulness of what we'll learn as the sea legs, I think is what they're called. They're like, walking and firing down, and you can see that Stalker's got an animation of like he's swooping in from underneath to fire on it. That stuff all works great, and it looks really, really cool. I do have a memory of picking this issue up, I think when it was reprinted as Tales of G.I. Joe, and it was the first time I'd ever read it, and being almost bogged down with how much stuff is going on in it, because these early issues, it's rare for them to use like everybody, and when they do, it's like every panel is a clip a second, like they're just burning through dialogue and actions because there's something going on everywhere.
It's a very wordy comic, this one.
Yeah. All right, so I think that covers it pretty well. Again, I do like the color scheme to this, and I like the action. There's just some issues with the dimensions on the map. Maybe he just didn't have one to look at.
But the colors are really good. I can't state that enough. I love the orange and red on the sea legs. I love the purple and blue background. I like that you can see Flash, how you can see where he like came in behind, and then
you mean Stalker?
And then or Stalker, sorry. You can see that like stripe coming all the way from the left side under the top left and coming up and around and down and under, like that they actually tracked that. I mean, it's really cool.
It doesn't do him any favors that this is coming off of the issue 7, which is like one of the best covers of the first couple of years, probably.
Sure.
All right, G.I. Joe number 8, codename Seastrack. The time, 0430, how do you say that, 4300? Is that right?
0430?
0430 hours?
I don't know.
40. I've always said, but 4300 would be, anyway, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. 4:30 a.m. Don't read too much into it, folks. the place, and then they list some coordinates. I checked these coordinates, and it's off of the coast of Florida, the east coast of Florida. So that's pretty cool that there was no internet for them to just punch that in. They pulled up a map and found some coordinates that match what they were writing for.
How interesting that things always happen in Florida.
Yeah, right? The origins of Florida, man. All Cobra operatives. The ship, a Cobra SRV-9, Submersible Reconnaissance Vessel Mark 9. This is the first of many vehicles featured in this issue that are not toys, and to my knowledge were never intended to be toys. We were talking before we started recording about how many lost opportunities there are for pretty cool looking vehicles that Herb took the time to design for this issue out of necessity, and then they just abandoned.
I mean, I would have bought both of these vehicles.
Yeah, another in a series of great design vehicles that got abandoned and never used again. As recently as the last two parted with the October Guard, where they had that thing to hold the crate. I forget what its designate codename was, but again, it's all cool stuff that they just needed to make, created it, and then forgot about. The heading, 269er degrees, true. Herb Trimpe, script and art. So we've got a boat that is sailing across Florida. It's got flying the Cobra flag. Has a bit of a moray crossed with like a vessel,
It's got that front end
cargo
split
hold,
similar to like the moccasin as well.
Mm-hmm.
How it's split and has like the two little things coming out.
So am I to assume that the entirety of this boat is the SRV-9, or just this little plane in the back? I guess the whole thing, because it's submersible, is like part of the key word. Okay, so they're hauling a little like biplane, kind of like cargo plane looking thing, or it's got like a little pontoon so it can land on water or launch off from water. And at the head of the boat, we see somebody in like a red poncho, still hard eyes strained to penetrate the grayness of the western horizon. All ahead, slow, steady as she goes, steady, there. See that it's Cobra Commander using gigantic binoculars. He's peering off his target. I like the red poncho. I like that. I mean, Cobra Commander's obviously a fashion-oriented guy, but the fact that he took the time to put on some water protection is, instead of just having it built into his suit.
I love the way that panel there looks. That little bit looks cool.
It kind of puts off in like a cape image, you know what I mean? Like it makes you think he's got a cape, sort of a cape on. Through the lens of the binoculars, we can see that Cobra Commander is looking at a space shuttle, prepping for takeoff. It's already in the vertical position. It's in the carrier. It's ready to go. Commander, hostile aircraft, range 5 minutes, ETA 1 minute. Dive, dive! So the submersible boat starts to submerge. In seconds, the mild coastal waters engulf the Cobra spy ship. The aircraft will find an empty sea elsewhere. So now we switch over to the Joes. They're in a issue 2-esque snow environment. And it looks like we've got basically everybody is here. For crying out loud, I feel like a popsicle. I want my mommy. You think I like dragging our butts out here for the umpteenth time? Let's go, Joes. Put it down right here. So they sit down and they're camping out and they're putting together looks like a little facility to, I guess for warmth or just a base of operations in general. Let's do it right this time. There's the right way, the wrong way, and the army way. I'd never thought seriously of going AWOL before today. Stalker's checking his watch, overlooking how they're doing. Not bad, not bad. Less yapping and we'd be in the Guinness Book of Records. From behind clutches, prepping some snow. Gee, Stalker, it's so much fun when you take us out to play in the snow. And it pops him in the back of the head with a snowball. Bingo! Give that man the Cy Young Award. From off panel, knock it off, Clutch. Cut to Hawk, who's in short sleeves. You heard me, wise guy. That snowball is going to cost you $100 out of next month's pay. Shut off those blowers up there. I want you Joes to listen up now. Oh, here it comes. Hawk has a real mission for us. 2 weeks of the icebox, and now I get the feeling that the other shoe's about to be dropped. Camera pulls back even further, and you can see that they're in a simulation, that there's gigantic like engines, that they're like blowing out snow, sort of like at a fake ski resort or whatever. We just had a hot one handed to us. We're going to the Kennedy Space Center to provide security for a new satellite that's going to be put into orbit by the space shuttle. The good news is that this thing will locate and destroy the network of underwater launch sites that intelligence tells us that Cobra is building. The bad news is that we think Cobra knows that we know. We've spotted one of their SRVs off Canaveral. They may have something up their sleeve. Nice that these guys already know about the SRV, but we're just finding out about it. How many of us are in on this one, Hawk? All of us, Scarlet. Full gear, vehicles, and towed weapons. Detailed briefing in exactly 10 minutes. Just like the Army, train us in the snow, then send us to Florida. Consider yourself lucky to be in on this one, Rock and Roll. We're going to run Cobra's tails right off the boards before they can get any of their launch sites completed. Quick question, Jaren. In this panel, is Rock and Roll have dark hair like he does on mine?
No, on mine it looks like he's got very blonde hair.
Really?
Yeah.
So this must be a coloring error. I'm talking about the guy in the middle, right? You clear on they got
With
the mustache,
the two big
bandoliers.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Okay, so I guess when they recolored these, they messed up. I'm looking at the classic trade paperback edition, and on this one, they've mistakenly colored him to dark hair. Bad move, fellas. It's a bad look.
How dare they?
I want a refund.
I wouldn't have even known who he was if I read the new one.
Well, that's what that mustache catches your eye, which is also wrong. He's supposed to have like a beard. I mean, admittedly, the facial hair and such of these characters changed a lot from figure to comic and vice versa. But that's a mistake, and it's unfortunate that it's a later made mistake. I wonder if that's been fixed in the they put out a hardbound of these later on. I wonder if it's the same in that. Anyway, however, at that precise moment, cut to a gigantic panel of this extremely 80s future vibe underwater base. I don't really know how to explain. It looks like an
underwater terror drone.
It looks like a metal bowl that you put in the microwave, but you weren't supposed to microwave, and it just starts bubbling and warping.
It looks like the Super Friends Legion of Doom hideout.
Oh, yeah, that's a very good comparison, actually. Friendly vessel in Quadrant 4. Laser shield is down. Maintain depth of 12,500 meters. Deck 1 is secure. Primary port is open. Lock is flooded. Stand by to receive. The little underwater boat is sailing into this gigantic facility. Prepare to close and seal outer port. Assemble all combat leaders for briefing in 15 minutes. So the boat comes in, seal it behind it. Everybody's back at home.
Cobra gave their people 15 minutes to get ready for a meeting. G.I. Joe only gave them 10.
That's why they lose.
But that's why they get more recruits.
Ah, right.
A little bit better dental plan.
Dental plan.
Lisa needs braces.
15 minutes later, Cobra Commander's in they're inside the facility. He's pulled up a map. This map is pretty busted.
That map does not look like... That looks like if I tried to draw the map from memory.
Why does I don't know a lot about the world as a general statement, but I'm pretty sure if I was drawing North America, the place where I live, I could probably nail it down a little bit better than this. All the other continents, to the best of my knowledge, which again is low, seems like it kind of stacks up, but the continent that we're on looks janky.
It just looks like a seahorse. That's what I'm going to say North America is.
Cobra leaders. Our technological superiority and our military invincibility have combined to create a golden opportunity for us. This undersea basin in which we now stand is a marvel of scientific achievement. Soon there will be a network of these bases located beneath all the oceans of the world. No nation on the face of the earth will be safe. In 2 days, we test fire our first orbital missile. Thereafter, satellites will be launched into orbit by the hundreds. Warheads will be poised to strike at any place on the planet. We will dominate the earth and sky. It will be our first step in ruling the cosmos itself. The world will soon be ours. Our laser shields are too sophisticated for us to be detected by conventional methods, and our sea base rides too deep to be attacked from the surface. But due to fifth columnists and capitalist lackeys within our own ranks, the Americans know that we are here.
So, Greg.
Yes?
Explain that, just the whole little bit of last part there, because I didn't realize that we were anti-capitalist as Cobra. And what is a fifth columnist?
Well, so I'm going to pull this quote directly from the G.I. Joe fandom wiki, because I'll be perfectly honest and say that I don't understand it as well either. So this is a direct pull from GIJoeFandom.com, or Yeah, gijoe.fandom.com. Baroness's reference to capitalist lackeys is curious. Though some of their equipment seems to be of Soviet origin, Cobra has shown no signs of being a communist organization, or otherwise having anything against capitalism as such. If anything, even at this early date, what little we see of their political philosophy suggests a fascist far-right orientation. This would eventually be explicitly confirmed in the Cobra Civil War arc. It is first stated in issue 73. So, I mean, this is, again, suffers from, like, growing pains, essentially, where they haven't really fleshed out the organization a whole lot. And on top of that, let me go ahead and talk a little bit about the terminology fifth column, because that was unfamiliar to both of us when we read it. And I pulled this just directly from Wikipedia. A fifth column is any group of people who undermine a larger group from within, usually in favor of an enemy group or nation. Activities of a fifth column can be overt or clandestine. Forces gathered in secret can mobilize openly to assist an external attack. This term is also extended to organized actions by military personnel. So, basically, I mean, spies, I guess, is a real simple way of boiling that down.
Yeah. Double agents.
Double agents, yeah. Also kind of comes to mind. All right, so they've laid out a lot of plot. I do also want to say, while we're taking a break from the dialogue part of it, that Herb has done a really good job, like, keeping the military conventionality or, like, the terminology on point in this issue. Like, he is explaining a lot of stuff. And while it may not be to the same level that we expect from Larry overall, I think he does a great job. And this stuff all checks out in my childlike brain. There's nothing here that where I can be like, no way, man. Satellites launched into orbits by the hundreds. I have no reason to believe that it's any more unrealistic than anything else we've read at this point. So, kudos to him. Also, big shout out to this guy, the Cobra officer with the eye patch, who's got his helmet off in the corner.
He's trying to become a named character.
He has verbatim Hawk's exact haircut.
He doesn't roll up his sleeves, though, so he's not as cool.
That's right. He's actually cold. Don't worry, my dear Baroness. They still don't know our precise location. Even now, they are preparing to launch a special satellite, one which will be able to locate and destroy our sea bases from orbit. But Cobra, in one magnificent move, will attack and destroy not only their space shuttle and the satellite it will carry, but their entire space complex as well. Failure will not be considered, will not be tolerated, will mean death to those who embrace it. Fate has placed the sword in our hand. We will strike with it tomorrow at dawn, and we will be victorious. Pretty good Cobra Commander speech.
Comic Cobra Commander is metal.
Yeah, I like this era Cobra Commander. We talked about it a lot last issue as well, that he's really got, like, he's on it, man.
Yeah, he doesn't play games. Interesting,
in this lower panel, you can see that Baroness is giving the Nazi salute that they don't have trademarked. But the Cobra officers have got a little bit something else going on. They have, like, their bent at the elbow, fist closed, turned horizontal to their chest.
They're doing, Yu-Gi-Oh! Battles. That's what they're doing.
Don't know anything about that, but do they salute? Do they do that before they throw out Pika-Yu?
I don't know.
Gyo?
I just remember, I have a vivid picture in my mind. I think it's actually because they had that big... Did you ever see that toy where you put the cards on it and it was like on your arm? That's the only reason I said that.
That sounds familiar, but it doesn't
evoke anything. It was like a gauntlet where you put cards on it. That's what it reminded me of.
I just think it's interesting that they have both a salute and a different, like, I guess that's like an acknowledgement of commitment to combat or something.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's better than doing the Nazi salute. Good on them.
Yeah, I mean,
they took a stand.
That lawsuit's coming. Nazis gonna get them. See you in court. Meanwhile, at the Kennedy Space Center, well, Hawk, we made it. A piece of cake so far. Don't count your chickens, soldier. We got a long way to go. Let's go, Steeler. Last one off. Empties the ashtrays. A paid vacation to Florida in August. Hey, which way to the beach? So they're unloading the classic, like, C-130 or whatever transport plane they're using. I see a Mobat. I see in the front, I see the Vamp and the
MMS?
The HAL. I always get the HAL and the Flat confused. And then I don't know what that thing in the middle is just a new construct. It actually kind of bears a striking resemblance to the thing from 6 and 7. It's like a big six-wheeler with a crane that they could use to pick up stuff, but the size is off, I think.
Yeah, that other thing seemed a lot larger.
Hey, let me touch on this real quick. Let's go, Steeler. Last one empties off the ashtrays. What characters do you think on the G.I. Joe team in the 80s smoked?
Clutch, definitely.
Clutch, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm going to also say Stalker seems like a dude that would, like, be stressed out a lot, like, from the...
Yeah.
I don't know. He's just, like, real intense, I guess.
I was going to say Scarlet, but I feel like she wouldn't just because of all of her, combat training, martial art things.
It probably not in the 80s because it wasn't ladylike in the 80s to smoke.
Hawk probably has a cigar all the time.
I bet Hawk smokes, but not in front of his troops.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Rock and Roll smokes left-hand cigarettes. Oink. Yeah, okay. It's just interesting. I don't think I've ever seen, I mean, obviously in a children's book, even in the 80s, they probably didn't want to play with that. But although it would be cool if Flash smoked and he, like, lit it with his laser.
Oh, that would be really cool.
Breaker has quit smoking after 10 years. That's why he chews gum all the time.
You're right. You found it. You've cracked the code.
I got some weird fanfic coming.
Send that to Larry. He'll confirm it.
G.I. Joe smoking guns. Later at the final briefing, okay, so Hawk has got everybody gathered around. He's laying it out. There will be 2 rings of defense around the shuttle at all times, an inner ring and an outer ring. The inner ring will maintain a distance of not more than 100 yards from the shuttle. Those in the inner ring are Zap, Shortfuse, Scarlet, Snake Eyes, and myself. The outer ring will be a mobile defense operating at a distance of not more than 1/4 to 1/2 mile from the shuttle at all times. Maps will be distributed so that you can best work out your course of movement as the shuttle is moved from the vehicle assembly building to the launch site. Those in the outer ring will be Steeler and Grunt and the Mobat. They will tow the missile launcher. Rock and Roll will be on his back. Clutch and Ranger, aka Stalker, I don't know why that keeps happening, will be in the Vamp, towing the laser cannon. Even they don't know the name of it. With Grand Slam aboard. You can't call it what the toy's called? You guys are killing me. Then there's a small diagram showing, hey, this is where the shuttle's at. Here's the inner ring of defense. Here's the outer ring of defense. Here's the maximum. You guys can stray from that. Pretty elaborate, honestly. In the very next panel, right after they call him Ranger, Stalker will be in command of the outer ring. Right, Hawk. Flash and Breaker will report to the shuttle orbiter manager. You'll be with the shuttle at all times, including launch, orbit, re-entry, and landing. Stock up on the airsick bags. Breaker's turning green. Impressive that they have 2 already trained candidates to go into space.
Hey, they've got everything they need here.
And hey, one more thing. Be careful out there. Be careful out there. It's me, Hawk, the guys that sold you to the dogs 1 issue ago. But this time, be careful because I will also be out there with you.
Who just docked $100 pay from one of you for throwing a snowball.
Right. Cut to the shuttle next morning, 1 a.m. They're moving the shuttle up into launch position. Hey, Hawk, I just saw a turtle race past us on the outside. Can't we move this thing any faster? Do you think it would help to give a push? At ease, man, at 1 mile per hour, we definitely won't qualify for the Daytona 500. Now we're at 0700 hours. Whew, 6 hours. Not bad for a 6 million pound snail. Keep it tight, boys. The world is watching. So long, Hawk. Don't forget to write. Don't worry, Colonel. We'll take good care of them. We'll make them get out and walk if they don't behave. So Breaker and Flash are suited up in their astronaut suits, and they're ready to go into space on the rocket. Hawk's on the radio. Hawk, this is Stalker. Over. Go ahead, Stalker. Red alert, they're here and in force. They're coming out of the ocean with stuff like we've never seen before. So just as soon as they laid out basically the groundwork for the story, the attack begins. And sure enough, great inset panel on this big page. Stalker wasn't lying. So this is the introduction of perhaps the more memorable vehicle created for this issue. It's the Sea Legs, which, like all great vehicles in the G.I. Joe line, stands for Surprise, Engage, and Attack.
It already has an acronym. It should have been a toy.
Let's take a second and talk about Sea Legs for a second, because first of all, I don't know the exact time frame on this, but do you think these existed before the ATST? From Star Wars, those of you guys that don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I think the ATSTs were first, because those were in Empire. They had them in the Attack on Hoth, and that was 79.
No, dude.
80?
Empire was like, yeah, probably early 80s, but you're right. That checks out. I mean, gotta be heavy influence, right? Gotta be.
I would think so.
It just stands out so much. So if you are not watching this on YouTube, I'm doing a bad job explaining. The Sea Legs look like an ATST, long, very long legs with a real kind of a slender body. The body itself is basically just 2 underlying guns, a small canopy, a couple of antennas, and missiles popping out. Got some weird, like, there's a weird tube on its right or left where it looks like a golf club was mounted to it. Essentially, it's like sticking out. I'm not real sure about that, but fact remains that Herb, I assume, spent a lot of time designing this.
It looks like a Crusader to me, like a scaled down Crusader. That's what the body of it looks like.
I can see that also. It like narrows in a way and has like specific, I don't know, fin placement. You can see that there are like little sea propellers coming out of the back of it, and it has fins on the bottom. I guess I felt kind of lackluster about these vehicles as a child, but as an adult, right now in this moment, I love it. I like it a lot, actually, and I think this would have been a really cool vehicle. Probably would have been in the mid-price range, would have been fairly affordable. If it had good posability in its legs, I would have probably really, really liked these. Wouldn't have even felt a strong need to designate it as a sea vehicle, but...
I would like to see what they would look like underwater.
Me too.
How do the legs fold, or do they just stick behind it like little paddles?
I don't know, but one of the better thought-out vehicles that was specifically created for the book. So the sea legs have emerged, and they are fighting the outer circle already. The Vamp is set up and is firing back at them, and they also have the laser cannon. If you guys can't name it, I can't either. So it is the HAL.
Yeah, I looked it up.
The flak cannon, obviously, the flak is specifically for aircraft, and they are
not
not
a
going to
laser.
need that in this. Yeah. The interestingly enough, the sea legs that's firing here has a sound effect, and it's like whit whit whit, or like. And the stuff that's coming out of it doesn't look like bullets, even if you compare it to the lasers. It makes me think of, I know you're not going to get this reference, but in the G.I. Joe animated movie, they fire this stuff that's like, it turns into like tentacles or goop or something. That's what it makes me think of. It's like like an adhesive. Listen, Hawk, we're caught in the open and they're all around us. As one general put it, we've got to advance to the rear. Time, Colonel, we need time. Liftoff is 1 hour and counting. There's no way we can speed it up. You heard that, Stalker. Hold them. That's an order. Sheesh, I gotta hold them for an hour. Grand Slam fires off the laser cannon, and one of them basically completely explodes. Bullseye, I got one of them. Jump, Grand Slam, jump. Laser cannon, they fire back, and the laser cannon is decimated. Sorry, kids, go buy another one.
You know, I will say another thing on this this last panel when you see those sea legs. Man, that sunset, that skyline looks really cool. The use of color is really cool in this issue.
Herb has got like a simplicity in his designs sometimes like that, where it really, like, the color palette is very striking. We know it's the morning time, and so it's an appropriate color, for that day. Yeah, I think it looks phenomenal. I don't think Herb gets overlooked as much as he did in the early days. I think he's kind of like not championed, but looks real good. I think he does great work, and reflecting on it, I hope he got I hope before he passed, he got the credit he deserved. The Vamp takes off, and they're firing. Cannon is firing backwards. Whoever's in the seat with him is also firing. Stalker has fired up the jump and is like zigzagging around. Scratch one laser cannon. Hang on, Grand Slam. We're linking up with Steeler. I've got a good radio fix on the Mobat. Just offshore, cut back to a Cobra submarine, another vehicle that we haven't seen yet. Pretty choice. There's a lot of stuff coming up. They withdraw before our might. We can destroy the shuttle and the G.I. Joe team all in one master stroke. What? Letterer, don't put the G in G.I. Joe on a line by itself. That's insanely weird.
Yeah.
The Baroness strikes as the voice of reason. Do not get overconfident, Commander. We have had them at a disadvantage in the past, and they have always beaten us. Not beaten, Baroness. They have merely delayed our inevitable conquest, but not this time. This time we will grind them under our boot. Prepare to depart in the Cobra Copter. Minus 30 minutes and counting. All right, so here's 2 more vehicles for you guys. Here we have what's called the just flat-out Cobra Copter. Very sleek. One propeller, the little turning propeller in the back. Looks like probably a small 2 or 3 person aircraft. Looks good, man. A lot of this stuff is pretty solid. And then on the ground, here's like a precursor to the Hiss tank. It looks like it makes me think of like a bug, because it has like a long, the turret is like a long needle-like thing that comes out. It has 2 tank treads, very like a curve to the top of the tank itself.
Yeah, it looks like it's low to the ground. It's not like very tall.
I don't know if this vehicle is named in this issue, but I think all this stuff is great, man. Like revisiting it. You can also see on the bottom of the sea legs that they have ports to attach to Lego pieces, which is very
It's very considerate.
very, very useful. Onward, Cobra soldiers. Victory is at hand. The G.I. Joe team has met more than their match this day. Annihilate them. The Joes are starting to meet up. Where in heck is rock and roll? Steeler, Grunt. These Cobra troopers are almost in range of the shuttle. We got to stop them here. They're coming. We have a chance as long as we're in this tall grass. They won't see us until they're on top of us. Unhitch the missile launcher, Grunt. So the outer circle and the inner circle have met up. They've been pushed back close enough to the 1/2 to 1/4 mile is what we established their range was. Here's the first and last appearance of the MMS as it immediately gets blown up before they've even unhitched it. Forget the launcher, Grunt. Looks like Cobra's unhitched it for us. It blows up. We didn't even get a full panel. That's not good for sales. And on second thought, button her up, Grunt. I never was much for waiting. Besides the best defense, cut to the Mobat laying waste to 2 sea legs back to back is a good offense. Turret swivels around, blows one up, turns around, blows another one up. Does make me question what the reload speed on the Mobat is, but still pretty cool to see the tank in action.
It's a double shot tank.
Makes sense.
You get 2 quick shots and then it takes a while to reload.
I have no statistical evidence to prove you wrong, so let's roll with that. Stalker in the jump pack flies up above one of them and drops a grenade in one of the hatches. Let's try a grenade up the tailpipe. It immediately explodes into pieces. He'll never walk again. Hey, look who's here. Sorry I'm late, boys. Rock and roll barrels in on the ram cycle. He's using the little Gatling gun on the side. It cuts through the legs. Boy, the sea legs are pretty weak. I mean,
if you make something that stands that tall, you really got to solidify the legs. No one's learned that.
Sorry I'm late, boys, but I made a wrong turn at the last alligator. Commander, the sea legs have failed. They're falling back. I have eyes, Baroness. They were expendable, as is everything in attaining our goal. Oh, they do name these tanks amphibious assault guns. The AG. It doesn't call them that, but everything else has got a code. Amphibious assault guns. Move forward. You know what must be done. Yes, Excellency, we shall crush the enemy. A better, closer look at these vehicles, which again I think is pretty cool. Stalker thinking to himself, here comes the heavy stuff. We've stopped them, Hawk, but not for long. There's a wall of steel moving our way. We need reinforcements, and we need them now. I'm way ahead of you, Stalker. I've got a bird's eye view of the action from here, and I sent out the rest of the team 5 minutes ago. Minus 10 minutes to launch and counting. Sounds like the place is crawling with cobras, but I can't see a thing. Hey, what's that moving in the grass over there? Land torpedo. No time to run, Grunt. Get your head down. So they shot this. I mean, I'm land torpedo. It's basically like a ground missile. I don't know.
Yeah, very, very different.
Yeah, very cool though. Like I can imagine this. I can imagine this how it would look moving, where you can just see the grass being pushed to the side without seeing what's doing it.
It's like the Velociraptor scene from the third Jurassic Park, second Jurassic Park, whichever.
Clever girl. Land torpedo hits the tank with a big kaboom. The tank is pivoted around and starts attacking the smaller. What were they called again? I already forgot.
Ags.
Oh yeah, the Ags. The Mobat pivots around and starts blowing up the Ags. That shot may have knocked out our electronics, but we still have our punch. Fire. So the Mobat is grounded, but it's still got weapons. Good shot, Grant. Swing 15 degrees right and fire again. We've got to hold them till the other Joes show. Big fan of somebody being a spotter for them, where he's pivot this much and fire again, kind of like a spotter for a sniper. I like that detail. And I think that's a good use of the teamwork. We're here, Steeler, but we'd rather be heard and not seen. Zap fires his rocket launcher from hidden in the grass. Blows up another one of the Ags. Your turn, Short Fuse. Let's make it interesting. $5 says I outscore you. Quit counting and keep shooting, Zap. This grass isn't exactly hard cover. We're mincemeat if they spot us. Rare example of Short Fuse getting to use his mortar, where he throws the, what do you call it? Not a missile. Shell?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can just say mortar.
Yeah, you're right. He throws the mortar in, you can see it taking off. Also, kind of an uncommon shot of where Short Fuse has got glasses on, which becomes a pretty big defining feature over the years for some reason, even though he's, again, not used very much in the comic as a whole. I absolutely hate carrying handbags. I'll let you guys have it. Scarlet throws her satchel into one of the Ags, obviously full of grenades or some explosive, and blows it up. Not yet seen in this issue. Good old Snake Eyes is sneaking up behind a guard that's got his binoculars out. Cobra Commander, we have evaded them. The shuttle is in range. We are. Snake Eyes just brings it. I guess that's just, he just brought his hand down and chopped him. Sound effect would lead you to believe that he chopped his head clean off. Back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna believe that.
Back to the helicopter. They have won, Commander. Nonsense, my dear Baroness. Observe that the shuttle is unprotected. While my pawns keep G.I. Joe busy, I will strike our target with a wire-guided cobalt missile. Cut to the POV, like we're directly behind the missile, as it starts to zoom in on the rocket, or the space shuttle. The space shuttle countdown has begun, and in big font, you see the countdown begin at 10. Good gosh, that missile's coming right at us. 7 seconds left. 30 years in uniform. 4 seconds left. It's down to 1 bullet. 1 chance. 3 seconds left. Can't let it get too close. Now. Fires his gun. Missile explodes with only 1 second left to take off. 0. Shuttle begins the launch procedures. They have liftoff, Commander. Someone destroyed the missile at the last possible second. Do not despair, Baroness. We have more cards yet to play. And there is some small satisfaction in knowing that at least one member of the G.I. Joe team has been burned to a cinder. Not so lucky, I managed to duck into this blast shelter with seconds to spare. This is Hawk. Stand by for pickup by Aqua Chopper. I'm not sure if you could say seconds to spare, considering the timer suggests that you shot it with 1 second left, but okay, Hawk. I will suspend my belief. Meanwhile, on the space shuttle, hey, Breaker, some ride, huh? Oh yeah, Flash. Some is getting a little air sick, space sick. Commander, we must return to our sea base and prepare our defenses. G.I. Joe will certainly follow us. Yes, Baroness, we will return, but not to prepare our defenses. Believe it or not, Baroness, we are still on the attack. Chopper converts to some kind of underwater vehicle. The propellers lock up, and the I don't know what you call the assisting propeller on the back of a plane, but it turns into an actual propeller for underwater. And they go underwater. Just then, aboard the Joe's Aqua Chopper, another vehicle that I hadn't seen before, really reminiscent of it's like a dragonfly meets a swamp fire. I cannot give you guys a better descriptor of it than that. It looks just like the dragonfly from the neck up, but it has those big pontoons from the swamp fire on it. And it is a cool vehicle. I mean, maybe an easy make, honestly, based on the descriptor that I just gave. Hey, Hawk, sonar's tracking good, but I've just picked up a blip on the radar. Something awesome about 2 clicks dead ahead. Good job, Stalker. But you can stow that arcade game of yours because I've got a visual now. It's a Cobra Sea base, and it's sitting on the surface. It shows land on this base and are deplaning. I smell a big fat rat. Let's wiggle it, you heroes. Spread out. Look sharp. If it's a trap, we got to play it out. Intercom system comes to life. Greetings, G.I. Joes. I thought you'd enjoy seeing your second launch of the day. One that will destroy your shuttle and satellite in orbit. Take cover. Gigantic panel pops off the base, and a shuttle of their own launches out of it. Even as I speak, my Cobra hordes ready themselves to spring to the decks. Once and for all, they will sweep you and your men into the sea. Shuttle launches into orbit, and we cut 150 miles up to Breaker and Flash. Breaker, Flash, Houston's on the horn. Cobra's fired a missile at us. There's not a dang thing we can do about the satellite at this point, but we're going to try a 1 second burn to see if we can't move this flying steam iron out of the way. It'll take a couple of minutes to get this shuttle moving. No time, Commander. I can see the missile now. If you've got a cement suit in there, you better put it on. Sorry, we're out of luck in that department. Nice knowing you guys, though. Be seeing you in that great briefing room in the sky. Breaker is out on his with the arrestor cable in his flight suit. Oh, they both are. My bad. Come on, Flash. You're the genius around here. Think of something. I'm thinking. Hey, I think I've got an idea. It's crazy, but it just might work. Flash has positioned himself directly in the course of the missile, which is
crazy.
Just about as, you got quite the pair on you, buddy. I hope I could slow down at just the right moment, then accelerate fast enough to match its speed. Clips onto the side of the missile. Now, in a vacuum, the full power of my backpack should be enough to alter this monster's trajectory. The sucker's internal gyros, I almost said gyro, like that's a sandwich, are fighting to maintain course. Come on, baby, move just a little. Cutting it kind of close, ain't we, fella? He did it. You did it. I did it. Missile narrowly misses both of them. Time to knock off this Doc Strangelove routine. I've got a feeling this thing's about to blow when the missile explodes in the vacuum of space. My old pal Flash, have I told you lately that I love you? You guys just earned your ride home. Meanwhile, 20 miles up the coast of Florida, the Joes have engaged in an active firefight with the Cobra officers on board their little sea base. Short fuse. Those guys in the center tower have got our tails nailed to the woodwork. Take them out. How's the shoulder, Grand Slam? You want honesty? It hurts bad. I've got a beat on them, Hawk. I'll continue to drop them in to cover your advance. Grand Slam again with the mortar. Nice to see him get some playtime. Uses that mortar shell, takes out a big tower that they have on the sea base. That prompts the Joes to kind of make the charge. Over the top, hit them before they regroup. Rock and roll, zap, short fuse, cover us with the heavy stuff. We've got them, Hawk. They're folding. Keep the pressure on. Don't let up now. They've had it, Hawk. I see a white flag. That's a great panel of them just systematically left to right, taking over all the Cobra troopers. Some of them, they're just knocking them out with the butt of their gun. They're not even shooting. Round them up, Joes. Then we've got to get inside and ferret out the main ferret. Correction. You had better extricate yourselves from the Cobra sea base. Although your damnable luck has bought you more time in this little drama, I am pleased to inform you how precious little you have left, and that the drama is about to be played out. While the Baroness and I escape to fight another day, you and yours will be atomized by a fail-safe device set to detonate in 5 minutes. Disarming this device will be quite impossible given the amount of time left. Farewell. Once again, their little undersea boat from the beginning launches out of a underwater port, and they're gone. You heard the man. Check the sea survival kits and hustle. Everybody into the chopper. Get those prisoners moving. Bad news, Hawk. They got the chopper early in the game. Only thing we saved were the survival kits. Well, hang it all. Open those kits and inflate the rafts. Get them over the side and herd these Cobra cuties. Get them over the side and herd these Cobra cuties onto them on the double. Is that what it says in yours? These Cobra cuties. Well, that's my band name for sure. Cobra cuties.
What genre are you gonna be?
We're Cobra cuties. We'll be joining you soon. The Cobra cuties strike out with that Nazi salute. It doesn't look as Nazi as here. It almost looks real vertical, they're waving hello.
And they're still doing the arm thing.
You're right. Interesting to see how this has evolved. Again, Herb is probably taken some liberties of his own, which I have no issues with. I just think it's interesting to see how this has evolved over the years. And basically, to my knowledge, I don't think I've seen the salute used in a very long time. You can shoot us, but we will not leave. We serve Cobra Commander to the end. We have failed and will stay to meet our fate. Suit yourself. We're only asking once. Stalker leaves some survival kits behind just in case they change their mind. Talked about this last issue, man, but I do love the to the death mentality of Cobra troopers of this era, where they're literally just we serve the cause no matter what.
It's got a nice little cult vibe going to it.
Yeah, I'm into it. All the Joes are on on two tiny little rafts. They're sailing away from the Cobra sea base. You got to hand it to them. They got guts. What they've got is mindless obedience. The one chink in the armor of the fanatic. They're all too willing to throw out the baby with the bathwater. All the little Cobra cuties on the sea base in the distance are shouting, "Long live Cobra!" Well,
man, I hope the guy with the eye patch got off.
I hope he did too. He's very resourceful. I'm sure he's fine. Long live Cobra, but not you guys. That whole basics up our lows. Finish. Not yet. Something approaching hard and fast astern. I don't believe this. It's the Cobra Commander, and he's trying to run us down. Doesn't this guy ever give up? So that submersible boat has now surfaced. Victory, Commander. We shall achieve it. Their guard is down, as I knew it would be. I will easily dispose of them now. Zap, our weapons and ammo are soaked. That oversized pea shooter is the only thing that can save our bacon. One chance is all you get. I like that in this panel, as Zap is firing his bazooka, he's whispering, "Zap," like he says that every time he fires the gun. Very charming. Zap fires his bazooka and tears the boat to shreds. It immediately sinks into the water. Nice shot, Zap, you did it. I know, man. You don't have to worry about wet powder with these rocket projectiles of mine. Do you think the Cobra Commander's finally down? Suddenly the boat, basically, I guess, does a boat within a boat? It transforms? I don't know. But the majority of a full-size plane emerges from underneath the water and takes off. What? This guy's got more escape routines than Houdini. I tell you, Hawk, this would be almost hilarious if there weren't so many people hurt and dying. What a way to make a living. Stalker, this is one old warhorse that's starting to believe that creep will always be just one step ahead of us. Well, team, where do you suppose the powers that be will send us next? First, it'll be 2 weeks training in the sea tanks, right? Right. Then they'll probably send us to the Sahara. Amen. Finis. The end.
Just as a little bit of housekeeping, because I didn't want to fail completely, it would be a rocket. It's a rocket-propelled anti-tank weapon.
Rocket-propelled grenade. That's what RPG stands for. I should have put that together. All right, so that's the end of issue 8. I have to say, again, I did not read this issue in preparation. I just did a little bit of research on it. Way better than I remember.
I actually really liked this issue.
A really good issue. Straight up. I don't know why I have always had such a bad imaginings on it, like why I've always felt like it's not good. I know that the common like community philosophy tends to lean towards Larry didn't work on it. We don't like it if Larry didn't work on it. But I think Herb did a phenomenal job. Used every member, which I always love, and he used them well, man. Everybody kind of got it, for such a, it's just one issue, but yeah, Zap got to do stuff. Grand Slam got to do things twice. Everybody got to their 15 minutes of fame in this book. And I think that's great. I think it's written well. He designed a lot of vehicles that I think are very good and would function perfectly fine in the universe. If they put that toy out today, I'd be on it in a heartbeat. I
don't have that nostalgia for, I don't have, any more connection to Larry than I do to Trimpe or, I don't have that. And I think it's definitely a lot more wordy.
Mm-hmm.
But this is still an entertaining comic. I would have to really think about it to think if I, how much different I would like the previous issues to this one. I thought it was a fun comic.
I think this is a great issue. If I was rating this issue, I would rate it much, much higher than I've ever rated it before. All right, so as we wrap up, there's one last thing to talk about, and that's, of course, the comic book 3-pack. This is the one that I've been waiting for. Jaron, I'm going to need you to look up the images of this pack so we can talk about it.
Let me guess. It's going to be a Hawk, a Stalker, and Baroness. That's my guess.
Nope. These are all Joes.
All Joes, okay.
And obviously, because all Joes are featured in this issue, it could have been anybody. But they did take the time to do the sensible thing and include 3 Joes for our original 13 lineup that we'd been building that hadn't been released at this point. And so the 3 Joes that we got a short fuse. And it's a great figure. Simple. It's got the original design. It's just military green. He's got his little harness. He's got his little H logo. He's got the shades that we were talking about. He's got the haircut like it's a brand new head mold. Solid figure. Tough to justify making original 13 figures because they all share so many similarities. Mm-hmm. And I think from a business standpoint, they're afraid that without a lot of variety, it doesn't appeal to kids. And that's just the unfortunate, that's just how the original 13 were designed. They all shared a lot of parts, so they all look a lot similar. That's one of the unique things about these comic book 3-packs is that for the most part, they didn't pull any punches. They made them look as close to the originals as possible, even when that meant that their body type were essentially identical in a lot of instances. Then they made a rock and roll. This rock and roll's great. He's got, they reused a pretty iconic torso for this, but I don't hate them on it because it captures the one feature that defines this rock and roll, which is like the twin bandoliers of ammo. And I think the head mold is good too. He's got kind of like long, unkempt hair, his beard. It's a good mold for its time. It's a good mold by today's standards, frankly. I think these figures are very, very good. As an overall era, I often find myself displaying or even just playing with these figures because I think they're such a cool representation of the original era without deviating too. They're still O-ring figures, so the love for that is still there.
I love that Short Fuse has the Jonathan Taylor Thomas haircut.
He absolutely does.
The split down the middle and the cool shades. And then Rock and Roll's a dead ringer for a blonde Chuck Norris.
And then they made a Flash. This Flash is the bane of my existence.
Really?
This Flash is featured in a spacesuit, which is a nod to the fact that Flash is in a spacesuit in this issue. Okay, I understand where you're coming from, and I would get that. Here's my problem. If you look at the entirety of the OG-13 lineup up to this point, we've had two problems, and this is the final problem. The first problem is when they released issue 2, they put Scarlet in a karate outfit, which is something. She's only in it for 4 panels. You know what I mean? Nonsense. Then in issue 4, they put out Grunt, and they put Grunt out in like a brown suit, like because that was part of his like Wingfield infiltration outfit. Okay, that sucks. And then they did this, and this is basically the same thing. They took a character, they put it in an outfit that he's only in for 1 issue, and it's not good. And then, so to top it all off, like we're coming up on the end of these comic book packs. I think there's a couple more, and then they only come out like for key issues. Like they only did the originals for a while. So what that means is, if you take these figures and you stack them all together, you have a updated look with a classic O-ring style that's flawless. I mean, these are some of the best figures they've ever put out in the original line, bar none. They're not perfect by today's standards, but they're great. And they all look like they did in the original comic, except for these 3 figures. These 3 figures did not get an original green military suit figure to match the rest of the group. And it's a total buzzkill. Like, they were doing so many things right, and they look so good together, and then these 3 figures look like turkeys that showed up at a party that they weren't invited to. So I am still mad about it all these years later, and I will be mad about it forever. I mean, I guess if I really wanted to take it into my own hands, it would not be hard to kit bash a figure that made them look like the 13, but it shouldn't have had to come to this. They hit on something that worked and worked well, and they were on the right path. They knocked them out so well. I would even forgive them if they had put out one more 3-pack with those 3 figures in the right style. But they didn't. Oh, well, I mean, there is a Scarlet somewhere down the line that works. I think maybe in the next issue, actually. So I can knock that off. But everybody else is done for. So
I was going to say I like that figure. I like that he's got a spacesuit, but now that you put it that way, I do understand how infuriating that is, because those other ones do look good with the green and the original figure. Oh my! And then,
so if you take that upcoming Scarlet and knock that crappy karate one out of the way, well, it really is just these 2 characters that didn't get the treatment they deserved, which makes it even kind of more sad, really, because we're so close and it just didn't happen at the end. So anyway, that's going to wrap up our coverage of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero number 8. I hope you guys are enjoying this comic book coverage. I know that we took a bit of a break because we had a lot of news and we did some convention stuff, but we're getting so close to finishing the original OG-13 line, and that's important for me, and it's also something that I really wanted to cover thoroughly with Jaron. On top of that, things get so much better. We got this fill-in issue next issue that we'll talk about, and then the very next issue we have a classic villain is introduced, and it's basically the last story for the original 13. Because starting with issue 11, we have new characters coming into play, and from then on out, you get new characters all the time.
I'm not ready.
Especially this. The second year is great. There's some people that are, just the most mainstay of the G.I. Joe universe are just around the corner now, and it's a very exciting time. Things really kick into the next gear of G.I. Joe, because the storytelling, I feel also pivots in a completely new direction, and I think it obviously works to its advantage. You can reach out to us on social media, Anything Joe's Pod. That's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can find our YouTube channel at just youtube.com/anythingjoes. And you can email us directly at anythingjoespodcast@gmail.com, where we would love to hear from you. We'll be back in 2 short weeks with some news coverage as well as some recent acquisitions. And as always, we want to thank so much for all the people that write in, all the people that join our Facebook community, just the people that participate in general. We think you guys are the best. So we look forward to seeing you in just 2 short weeks where anything's available for discussion. here on Anything Joe's.